Hey guys, it's Danelle from Painted. I just went live about 5 minutes ago and I'm pretty sure I was talking to myself the whole time because I had some low internet connection. So if you're hopping on and you can now I just got a phone call, so who knows what happened there. So if you're hopping on and you can see me and you can hear me, please say hi so that I know I'm not talking to myself once again. This is gonna be really quick and short, but the reason that I'm hopping on is this morning I was stenciling and I thought, you know, for me stenciling is second nature. I've done it a lot, I do it often, and I keep forgetting to remind myself that just because it's something that I do a lot doesn't mean that you guys have done it. So if I can pass along some easy little simple to do tips and tricks, that's my goal here at Painted. So what I want to show you is I am using a Funky Junk stencil, and these are reusable stencils. So what that means is you can use it, clean it off well, and use it again and again and again. As long as you're cleaning it, there's no reason. These are like thick and heavy duty, and they will last you forever. But because it's reusable, it doesn't have like an adhesive side. So when people are stenciling, sometimes what happens is they struggle because their paint bleeds under the stencil, and then when they go to remove it, their stencil lines are not clean. And that's a bummer when that happens. So what I want to do today is show you guys what I have taught, other people who have taken workshops too, such an easy hack so that when you stencil, you have success. So first let's talk a little bit about traditional tools. A lot of people will use a stencil brush, and most stencil brushes will have a flat top, and that's on purpose so that the paint, sits on your surface flat, because either people will pounce it like this or they will do like a swooshing motion like that. So a stencil brush is a great way to apply paint if you're trying to, do a very large surface, or you want to paint, a little bit faster, because the thing I do, I'm going to admit, it's slow. It is not the most time-wise effective way, but the end result to me is what matters. And I would rather take a little bit of time and have a great finish than to try to rush the process, remove my stencil, and it doesn't look good. So here's one thing people do. They use stencil brushes. Another tip people do is they will take their paintbrush, their good quality paintbrush, and because the paintbrushes are softer, they will tend to spread out. And when you're stenciling, you want a more stiff, condensed brush or tool. So, I took it off over there, sorry. So what they will do is they will wrap around a rubber band around their bristles, like those black, thicker, nice rubber bands for your hair. And like if you wrap that around twice, it will make your bristles go together tight, and then you can use your stencil brush, you can use your paintbrush as a stencil brush. So that's another tool that people will use, so that they don't have to go out and buy a stencil brush if they already have a good quality paintbrush. But now, let me show you guys what I like to use. They come in a little plastic bag, super cheap, makeup sponges. Like this obviously was a big, it was full, but I use them all the time. And you just break it apart and you have individual makeup sponges. And because they're so cheap, once I'm done with it, I throw them away. If you want it, if you're using water-based paints, you definitely can, wash them out and then reuse them. Or if I'm stenciling a project and I want to still use that same color, I will take like the saran wrap and I will just wrap it up so it stays moist and doesn't dry out. And then I can use that same sponge again. So these are my secret weapon, but I want to show you how I use them. So let me adjust this. And you guys will see what I'm working on. This is an ironing board, an old one, and I'm putting the stencil that says laundry. And I apologize, I know it's backwards for you guys. I did the reverse screen on the last part and it didn't even work, so I'd rather show you guys something backwards than not be able to show it to you at all. So first of all, with stenciling, the key is less paint, the better. So I'm gonna actually use the paint that is in my little lid, and I'm using Fusion brand, they're coal black. And I'm gonna take my makeup sponge, and I like to use this flat part, and I'm just gonna dab it. So you can see the one I've already been using, but I just wanna show you guys from start. So I load it up like that, and then I always unload. And what that means is I'm basically gonna just pounce off. In case I had too much paint pooling, I don't want to apply way too much paint and then it seeps under. So I always kind of go like that, and it's just called offloading. And then I've taped this stencil down using painter's tape. And it's really important that if your stencil has registration marks, like if it's one that can have other stencils connect to it, that you cover up those marks with tape too, because when you're like on your, your painting mission, sometimes you'll just paint those registration marks and then you're like, oh man, that wasn't what you wanted. So I always cover up those too. But what I want to show you guys is I always like to start in the spot that has like where all the paint's going to go, and then slowly work my way over to the edges. So if I have too much paint on here and it starts to pool and seep, it will, it will go where I want it to versus underneath. And I also use my fingers and I hold down the areas, because this, obviously, look at it can lift easily. And when you start dabbing, and if you're going fast, it'll start lifting. So you will get paint on your fingers, but it's washable. And I just go like this. So I start in the center and then I overlap. And also what I like to do is I try, this color has amazing coverage, right? But let's say it was a color that doesn't have amazing coverage. Instead of staying in the same spot and pouncing a ton of times, I will get a nice thin layer on first and allow it to dry, and then I will build up my coverage. If you're tuning on, say hi. And also, if you're tuning on, let me know, have you ever stenciled before? Because I'm kind of surprised at that a lot of people have never done this, or they think it's really hard. And if you do stencil, what do you like to use? Because I am always willing to try a different method, because I'm always learning as well too. So maybe you guys have a tip or a trick or something that you guys could teach me. So see, I loaded up and I got a lot on there, so I'm just gonna offload it a little bit. And then on my big open spot, that's where I'm gonna start first, so that if I have too much, it doesn't bleed under. And then I just pounce. Now this process, like I said, is slower than if I were to use one of those brushes. But I've had way more success with this than the brushes. And this stencil actually got bent in a class right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the top of the R got bent. So this one's gonna be a little bit even more challenging. So hopefully we can get a nice clean line with it, even though it's damaged. But if you're a sign maker, these reusable stencils are definitely the way to go, because you just buy it once and then you have it forever, and you can, keep making more and more. So that R is pretty good. Can you guys see this? Say something if you're watching. I can see that there are a few watchers. I can't see any comments. So if you guys are commenting, I apologize because I can't see them. And now I'm gonna do the Y, again, starting in the center, and then slowly overlapping. Now I think what I'm gonna do is, once the paint's completely dry, I think I'm gonna hemp oil this entire ironing board. And Fusion has a built-in top coat, so I wouldn't have to do any type of sealant over it, but I wanna just make the wood of this board look a little bit more rich. And that'll also, like if I do like a nice wet sand too, that'll make everything look nice and deep. Okay. Before you ever remove your stencil, I always say look over your entire surface to see if you missed any spots. And I can see on mine where I'm light in some areas. So I'm just gonna touch them up. Although at the same time, if you kind of leave it light in some areas, that looks cool too, because it kind of looks like it's a little bit older and distressed. I guess it depends on like the look you're going for. Okay, so let me move this stuff, and then I'm gonna pull it off to show you guys. I like to remove my stencils while my paint is still wet. Although obviously the side I did this morning, that's all dry. Okay. And then when you're lifting off your stencil, just try to lift it straight up. I'm going to set this aside real quick. And then let me take this out so you guys can see. Okay, there you have it. Like, I think that's so cool. And you can see, look at, it's nice and clean with no like bleeding coming underneath. So once again, especially if you're tuning in late, what I just showed you guys was how to stencil with success. Let me turn this around. Don't mind the hair. How to stencil with success. And my secret weapon, like I said, makeup sponges. Super cheap. I can just now go ahead, throw this away. I don't have to waste time trying to wash out a brush. And I got a perfect finish. So I hope this tip helps somebody. And if there's ever anything else that you guys want to learn, please make sure to put it down here in the in the notes. Send a message or something, because I'm always looking for content on stuff that I can do to help you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.